Yo guys, welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be talking about some recent reads I have, just with some trades that I've been getting into. I know I don't normally talk about those all the time. I do my monthly segment where I talk about the single issues that I'm pulling and all that, but I want to focus on talking about some of the trades today. Some of these I was originally going to do standalone videos for, but I don't really have the time to do that, so I figured I'd just do a big video and do these every once in a while and just talk about everything that I've been reading. So I'm not going to beat around the bush too much. I have 4 series today that I'm going to be talking about, and all the timestamps will be down below so you can skip to whatever part. I have 2 indie series, and a DC and a Marvel. So yeah, let's get into it right away. I'm going to start with the first one being Wolverine, the classic Claremont and Miller run from, I believe, 82. Yeah, 1982. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed this. It was fun seeing Wolverine and just like a standalone Wolverine story like this, especially having grown up watching the Wolverine movies, like in the X-Men movies, in particular the one titled The Wolverine, which is heavily based on this run. And yeah, I grew up on that movie, so I've seen it several times. So it's kind of fun seeing the differences and specific inspirations. Although it's quite a bit different from the movie, there's a lot of similarities, and the inspiration is obvious. But it's just kind of fun seeing, you know, where it's drawn from in the movie. But yeah, I also normally don't really care for Chris Claremont's writing. I tried reading his X-Men earlier or later last year, in like the fall, and I couldn't do it. I talked about that more in my last X-Men review I did when I reviewed New X-Men. So I'm not going to rehash it now. However, yeah, I'm just not the biggest fan of Claremont's writing. But that being said, I really love when he writes Wolverine's character, all of Wolverine's little kind of cheesy catchphrases, and I think he has one of the best voices for Wolverine. I mean, as you know, he basically created Wolverine. Like, he didn't create him, but he revolutionized the character of Wolverine. Like, he revolutionized many things. But yeah, his Wolverine is iconic, and it's probably my favorite version of Wolverine. So yeah, I really enjoyed this for what it was. Again, I think miniseries are kind of hard for me to really give a high rating because sometimes things can feel a little rushed. Yeah, I'm just not the biggest fan of miniseries. I like more drawn out story arcs and character arcs. I like to see a lot of development, and that's not really what this is. This is just a good time. Also, I'm not really the biggest fan of Frank Miller's art in general. But it wasn't really obnoxious in this either. So the two of them together actually put together a really sick story. The ending didn't make a whole lot of sense to me, I'll be real. Like, I was like, I don't know, I kind of had a bro moment. I was like, what? Why? But I bet, you know, maybe there's some maybe it wraps up loose ends in like the ongoing Wolverine series at the time, like later on, outside of like the miniseries. I don't really know, but it kind of ended in a weird way. So yeah, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what rating I gave it, but I enjoyed it for what it was. The next series I'm going to talk about, as you can see, is BRZRKR. I did read these 3 trades that I have. I finally got around to reading it. Created by Keanu Reeves, and it's basically you're following Keanu as he rips people apart. It's pretty sick. It's kind of like if you were to take John Wick and the Immortal from Invincible and mix them together. That's pretty much what it is. Yeah, at first, I don't know, the BRZRKR was a little disappointing, I'll be real, but I did have a good time. The art is really cool. I will say it's pretty forgettable. A lot of what happens, I can't really tell you from what I remember, because I don't know exactly when I read this. It may have even been at the beginning of January, or it was sometime in February. I don't really remember. But basically, my thoughts about Berserker are that it's really interesting for the first trade. I really like those first few issues and sort of the mystery behind his character, and we get a little bit flashes of his backstory and all that. But it progressively gets kind of worse. I'll be real. It just gets more and more out there, and the whole thing about him like contacting the gods and like the whole astral projection stuff and leading into the ending and all that. I'm not gonna spoil too much of it, but it just kind of was a little out there for me. I didn't really like the cool shit that was happening was kind of lost at a certain point. Like it just kind of was getting trippy and weird, and the story ended up not making a whole lot of sense in the end. I really, I thought that the leaving the ending kind of ambiguous was pretty cool though, because it allows, maybe there'll be a sequel. I know there's plenty of like spin-offs and stuff, which I might check out, but I don't have a huge push to, other than it just being Keanu, and Keanu's the GOAT. Yeah, I mean, it was full of action and gore, so if like that's what you're here for, just kind of here to have a good time and not think about it too hard, because it's kind of a mind fuck at some points. If you're just kind of here to have a good time and watch Keanu, or like read about Keanu blowing stuff up and ripping people apart and being a badass immortal warrior, then like you're in the right spot. It's pretty sick. But if you really I feel like if you try to pay attention and think about what's happening, it's kind of confusing, and I don't know. Like I said, when it started getting super out there, it kind of was lost on me, and especially that ending definitely got really weird. I don't know, maybe I just need to watch a lore video or something, or watch somebody more qualified explain it, because yeah, I really didn't understand what was happening after a certain point. The next thing that I'm going to talk about, it's actually not a trade, but it's this oversized hardcover for Wonder Woman Dead Earth by Daniel Warren Johnson. Yeah, first of all, I don't know why this hardcover is sized like this. It's almost sized like a children's picture book. It's just very wide and doesn't really fit, or like, I don't know, match up well with my other hardcovers and stuff. It's just kind of weird. It stands out. But yeah, where to begin with this, right? This is actually my first, well, that's a lie, because I've read Absolute Wonder Woman, but other than Absolute Wonder Woman, this is my only Wonder Woman story I've ever read. I've never read like main continuity stuff, now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, Daniel Warren Johnson. Oh yeah, and more importantly, I feel like this is my first Daniel Warren Johnson series, who is a creator I want to check out more of, because yeah, his writing and his art are pretty cool, but like especially his art, and I think that was really the standout of this series, this mini series. Again, it's a mini series, so it's bound for me to be, a little more critical, I guess, or it's harder for me to connect to. But yeah, Mike Spicer and Daniel Warren Johnson as a combo are so cool. I love Mike Spicer's colors and Daniel Warren Johnson's art. I do want to get into like the Transformers run, of course, and whatever other series that Daniel Warren Johnson does. I know like the Moon is Following Us. I want to check that out when the trade comes out in a couple of months, I think. But yeah, I think the art was really the standout. The mystery of like the world here is also interesting, and I thought a lot of the side characters were kind of whack. I'll be real. It's mainly just the parts of the series that focus on Diana alone. I really enjoyed. But yeah, the ambiguity and like the mystery of what happened to the world is pretty cool, and it's kind of like an amnesia plot, which a lot of people don't like, because it is, it's a trope, and I mean, not all tropes are bad. Tropes are necessary, but it's one that people don't care for because it's kind of gimmicky. But I actually really like a good amnesia plot. That's something I'm a fan of personally. I'm a very tropey guy. Yeah, I don't really think character tropes detract from a story, or story, like familiar story beats. I can get why some people don't care for it, but not with me. But yeah, I just really liked seeing, the remnants of what I'm familiar with from the DC world. And I'm not going to spoil too much, just in case you want to read it yourselves. But yeah, the mystery of like what happened to Batman and Superman and all that, and when we finally go back towards the end of the series and her memories are kind of unlocked, and we see like the battle that went down and like all that stuff, it's actually super sick, and that final battle is pretty sweet. But yeah, overall, I mean, the story, like I said, it being a miniseries, I didn't care a whole lot. I thought a lot of the, post-apocalyptic group of kids, that's like kind of annoying. Didn't care the most for them. But Diana running around and being a badass in this post-apocalyptic world was pretty sweet. And like I said, yeah, just the art and the atmosphere was definitely the standout. The colors are amazing, and the action sequences are very well drawn. I love like the gritty art style. And what I love about Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer is that their colors are so vibrant, and the pictures have like the thick borders, and it's very gritty, so it's like it pops. Yeah, it's awesome to look at, even though the story wasn't my favorite. And the last book that I'm going to talk about today is one that I finished, I think, either yesterday or the night before. I can't exactly remember. But that is The Power Fantasy. This is written by Kieran Gillen. Yeah, what to say about this? So, I did not expect this to be exactly what it is. I didn't really know what to think, honestly. I've been picking up some indie series lately and just kind of hopping into them blind. That's kind of what I've wanted to do. Power Fantasy is hard to explain. Basically, the whole story is a metaphor for world superpowers and nuclear war. You have these superheroes, or not exactly superheroes, but people from different countries with godlike powers, and it's, the balance between like these different nations and these countries and how they control these people with these powers that can bring about the end of the world. And it's almost, but these people with superpowers, they kind of have a bond, a familial bond. It reminds me a little bit of like Umbrella Academy, but like on a much larger and more like cosmic scale. But it reminds me of Umbrella Academy in the sense of like the character relationships, not exactly like the setting and all that, but the character relationships definitely. But yeah, I don't know, the plot is again very kind of like confusing. It kind of throws you in without explaining much. Like the first chapter is you hopping in, you follow this guy named Etienne, who is a powerful psychic. He's basically like Jean Grey. Yeah, and he can like hop into people's minds and like remotely execute people for like whatever reason. Yeah, you kind of follow him at first, and then it jumps around in time too, because I don't exactly know how it works. I don't know if they're like immortal or what. I don't really know exactly how it works, but a bunch of people with different powers. Long story short though, the story is pretty big brain for me. Like I feel like I need to give it a reread to really understand what's going on. I get the general idea of it. It's just kind of hard to grasp some of the concepts, and I do feel lost at a lot of points. And I'm debating on whether or not I should drop the series or not, because I have this first trade, and then I am picking up the singles because this ends at issue 5. So I have issue 6 in the singles, and then I was going to pick it up from there, because issue 6 is the most recent. I want to read what I have, and maybe things, maybe when the story progresses, it'll start to come together more and make more sense to me. Maybe I just need to reread it, like I said, and take notes. It's kind of like one of those series, and I don't know. What I'm starting to find is that in comics, maybe some of the story and the plot is a little lost on me, with how fast-paced comics can seem, and like all the art and all that. Maybe some of the plot is lost on me, and maybe that's why I have a hard time understanding the plots of some comics and like what exactly is going on. But what I've heard though is that I'm not alone in this kind of being convoluted and weird. This, similar to Berserker, in my thoughts with that, is it's kind of out there. But that's not to say I don't enjoy what they're doing here. I really like the concept. The concept's cool. The art's great. It's got some cool characters. And with how the last couple of issues, the last couple of chapters in this book went, I feel like it's kind of building up to something, and I am interested to see what happens. I am slightly invested in it. So yeah, it's pretty cool, but it's definitely very weird and out there. So yeah, guys, that's my thoughts on some of the books I've been reading lately. Again, just a very quick overview of some series. I have another pile of some trades that I'm going to try to get to soon, and I'll do like a follow-up video. I'll do one of these videos every once in a while just to talk about the comics I've been reading. Yeah, nothing crazy, but anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think of these series in the comments, if you guys read them or plan on reading them. If any of you could explain some of these series better, like Berserker and Power Fantasy, if you guys know more than I do about them, definitely let me know as well. And you can always join the Discord, which will be in the description as well. So yeah, guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.